From the University of Florida College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News at 6.
2 students have now been expelled from the University of Oklahoma. That's our top story. Good evening. It's Tuesday, March 10th. I'm Chloe Stradinger.
And I'm Jessica Barreto. Thanks for joining us. This comes in response to the viral video from Oklahoma's Sigma Alpha Epsilon chapter, where members were seen chanting racial slurs. WFT's Nicole Acevedo joins us now in the studio. Nicole, you spoke to a student who is pretty upset by the video. Tell us more.
That's right, ladies. Nick Carey is actually an African-American student here at UF, and he's become involved in a lot of organizations on campus. He told me when he first saw the video, he was disgusted, but honestly not surprised. He says he's seen other evidence of racism among college students before. It's the video that's made its way across the country.
It really is just disappointing.
Nicholas Carey has been with the University of Florida's Black Student Union for 2 years, and even after witnessing racist acts in Gainesville, he's still appalled by this video.
It's incorrect, it's wrong, it's disappointing, it's pathetic. It just kind of opens the wound again to the fact that we still have these issues.
After the SAE video was published, Oklahoma University's president wasted no time.
Are not racist. I have a message for those that misuse their free speech to use racial slurs. You're a disgrace to this university. I'd be happy if they left the university.
Bourne has since shut down OU's chapter and expelled 2 students.
It's a statement, and it's a statement not only for any fraternity, or sorority, or organization, it's a statement for everyone at the University of Oklahoma and across the nation to kind of see that we should not be accepting, regardless of who you are, these sort of racial incidents.
And Nick says the University of Florida has also seen its share of racial tensions, from other Greeks dressing in blackface to students yelling similar remarks across 13th Street years ago and today, as African Americans make up just 6% of UF's population. Even though UF's SAE chapter has been instructed not to speak to us, some other members are finding their own ways of expressing their opinions. One brother from Illinois writes for the Odyssey, quote, "I'm an SAE and I'm ashamed of my brothers," describing his disgust at the video. But Carey thinks reacting to this issue is much less effective than trying to be proactive from the start.
So I hope this can be used as sort of a reference or a precedent for what we do next in regards to these issues.
Now again, the University of Florida's chapter has told WFT News they have been instructed to not answer any of our questions and referred us to the National Association, which has also not returned our calls.
Thanks, Nicole. A new study shows that drinking coffee moderately can reduce clogged arteries, which is an early sign of heart disease. Those who drank coffee had cleaner arteries, even if they just drank 1 cup per day. But too much caffeine can cause insomnia, irritability, and other effects for those with certain health conditions. Doctors say drinking about 3 to 5 cups per day is a reasonable amount, and anything more could be harmful.
Be careful about drinking too much coffee. A couple of cups, 3 cups of coffee a day, no big deal. It doesn't say they drink 3 at a time or 3 over 12 hours or what have you. So a lot of things have to be taken into consideration here.
Guidelines for drinking coffee include lowering intake, drinking decaf, and easing up on the added sugars.
Climate change and global warming are problems scientists and environmental agencies are working against across the nation. But the use of terms like climate change and global warming are causing a problem within the Florida legislature and environmental agencies. According to a report from the Florida Center for Investigative Reporting, state officials were told they could not use any of these words in any official reports or emails, and that this unwritten rule started with Governor Rick Scott's administration. In the case of Alachua County, officials say they are aware of the language controversy, but say the policy is really what matters.
For us, it's more about climate adaptation and making sure that in the future, if there are more extreme storms, for example, more extreme hurricanes or more extended droughts where it doesn't rain, that the county is in a position of withstanding those type of weather changes.
Since Alachua is not a coastal county, Burt says weather preparedness is different than in other coastal areas. He also says the county is working toward reducing carbon emissions and using other forms of energy instead of fossil fuels.
And just like our clocks last weekend, the weather is springing forward into the warmer season.
It was a sunny and beautiful day. UF forecaster Tony Sadiku joins us now to tell us if we can expect this weather pattern to stick around. Tony?
Good evening, ladies. Certainly want to expect this weather pattern to stick around. Me personally, having just come back from North Carolina, I appreciate the 80-degree temperatures that we are finally getting here in the Sunshine State. Of course, it's above average, and it's certainly still toasty out there for this time of the year. 83 in Gainesville, 77 out in St. Augustine, 84 in Ocala. But as we head into the evening hours, we could see maybe a spotty shower develop, especially after midnight. So anywhere between 2 and 5 a.m., you'll probably be sleeping. Maybe you hear a rumble of thunder. The areas that don't get the showers, though, could have to deal with some morning fog, much like what we saw this morning. Areas of patchy to dense fog anywhere just east of the I-75 corridor will be what we deal with. But of course, that's just the beginning of the rains. Like I mentioned, I'm tracking some more of the sea breeze activity that we all love here in the Sunshine State. I'm tracking it hour by hour coming up in my full forecast. Back to you.
A woman staying at UF Health Cancer Hospital says she was horrified when she found black mold lining the bathroom and walls. Cynthia Lewis is 56 years old and she suffers from cancer of the uterus. On top of that, she has a number of complications that resulted from her chemotherapy treatment. Lewis's white blood cell count is extremely low, meaning her immune system is completely compromised. Lewis's sister and daughter say they were appalled when they saw the conditions of the room and asked that she be moved. They refused to allow her to shower in the bathroom, fearing her foot, which has an infection, could worsen. Lewis says she was only moved after her sister recorded this video showing the conditions of the room, and her daughter began posting the video on social media.
The bill that would allow concealed firearms on college campuses is moving through the Florida legislature and continues to stir up a debate among opposing groups. The recent shooting at Florida State has shined a spotlight on the issue of concealed carry. Critics believe adding guns to a mix that includes academic pressure and social events would not improve safety at schools. But supporters say personal protection or assistance takes precedence.
You know, the point there is that if you can have an immediate responder versus a first responder, why wait those extra 3 to 5 minutes or 7 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever it might take to shut down a building and respond?
The proposal for concealed carry received support in both the House and Senate subcommittees. However, the bill is opposed by the 12 public universities in Florida.
Florida lawmakers are considering a move that could make upcoming elections more efficient. Both the House and Senate are considering bills that would put voter registration online. WFT's Yelena O'Reilly has more on why this measure is causing security concerns.
With the Gainesville city elections approaching next week, early voting has already begun. But Florida voters may see some changes in voter registration methods before the next local elections come around.
Anything that helps to make the process more convenient, makes the voter able to participate on their terms and in sync with their life.
Currently, there are 2 pieces of legislation moving through the State House and State Senate. SB 228 and HB 227 were proposed earlier this year. The purpose of both pieces of legislation is to implement online voter registration in the state of Florida. Currently, the only way to register to vote in the state of Florida is to fill out one of these forms. The form then has to be taken in person to your local supervisor of elections office or mailed. The new online voter registration system hopes to streamline this process to make it more convenient for voters to get out to the polls. Already 20 states, including Arizona and California, have implemented the online registration system.
And studies from all of those states have shown significant savings in the voter registration process over their previous paper methods, sometimes nearly $1 per applicant.
But with new technology always come security concerns.
And you can manipulate a particular election through making it so that voters who should be able to vote are not able to vote, or voters that shouldn't be able to vote are able to vote. Those are the 2 bad things that can happen.
Internet security experts like Newman say the state has to be very careful about how they design the new system so that voters' personally identifiable information is protected and information is not tampered with to influence elections.
If it could save us money and be more convenient and be more secure, I think it's something that we should go forward with. And I think it's a possibility that all 3 of those things could be the case.
Yelena O'Reilly, WUFT News.
The supervisor of elections says if the change passes, we should not expect to see it be implemented until 2017.
WUFT News at 6 is just getting started. Coming up, Hillary Clinton breaks her silence about the recent email controversy surrounding her time in the State Department. We'll have more on that coming up.
Plus, former Cuban leader Fidel Castro is making a move that may strain his nation's recovering relations with the U.S. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome back to WUFT News. Just after a women's equality event at the United Nations, Hillary Clinton spoke on a matter that has been dogging her for the past few weeks: her emails. Clinton took questions today about her use of a private email account while conducting business as Secretary of State. She acknowledged it would have been better to use a government email address along with the personal one she used. But the likely 2016 presidential candidate insisted she did not violate any federal regulations or risk exposing sensitive information to security breaches. And while Clinton has turned over about half of the 60,000 emails on her private server to the State Department, she insists the rest are private and not subject to review. And hundreds of South Koreans rallied in Seoul today in support of U.S. Ambassador Mark Lippert. He was released from the hospital today after being attacked last week by a man with a knife. Lippert received 80 stitches on his face as a result of the attack. People waved South Korean and U.S. flags in support of Lippert as he was leaving the hospital. Lippert said he was deeply moved by the support. He also told reporters he felt pretty good, but wouldn't discuss the incident or new security measures.
I feel pretty darn good, all things considered. I mean, it was obviously a scary incident, but I'm walking, talking, holding my baby, hugging my wife. So I just feel really good. I've got a little rehab left to do on the arm. The face feels really good. But thanks to the great medical professionals, I feel, like I said, pretty darn good.
His attacker is a known anti-U.S. activist and could face a number of charges, including attempted murder. He attacked Lippert at a breakfast forum and shouted he opposed the ongoing U.S.-South Korea military drills. And the largest amount of military equipment delivered to the Baltics so far has arrived in Latvia. NATO troops are conducting exercises in the Baltics in response to Russia's involvement in the Ukrainian crisis. The heavy equipment, including tanks and armored vehicles, will support the rotation of U.S. troops. Baltic NATO nations fear Russian aggression could spread to the former Soviet countries. Washington and European allies have accused Russia of sending troops and military equipment into eastern Ukraine, fueling the nation's conflict. Moscow has long denied the accusations. U.S. Army Major General John O'Connor said the huge stockpile of equipment further showed NATO's commitment to member states.
And taking a look at what's happening around the world, today Japan marked the 70th anniversary of what may be the deadliest conventional bombing attack of World War II. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe attended a somber ceremony to remember the more than 105,000 people killed during a massive bombing raid on Tokyo March 10, 1945. The raid killed more people than the August atomic bombing of Nagasaki. Beginning on March 10th, the U.S. changed tactics from bombing factories and military installations to an expanded list of targets that included civilian areas. Japan would not surrender until September 2nd after the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki on August 6th and August 9th. Today, former Cuban leader Fidel Castro declared his support for Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro as the Venezuelan leader seeks special decree powers from Parliament in new response to U.S. sanctions. In a televised note of support today, Fidel Castro expressed support for Maduro. U.S. authorities qualified Maduro's government yesterday as Washington's #1 adversary in South America and declared a national emergency to U.S. interests. In response, Maduro announced yesterday he would request an anti-imperialist enabling law. The escalation in tensions between the two countries appears to have been triggered by Maduro's accusations that the U.S. was behind an alleged coup plot and the arrest of an opposition Caracas mayor who was accused of conspiracy. And Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson crashed Valentino's Paris Fashion Week show today, channeling their characters from the hit comedy Zoolander. The faux supermodels Derek and Hansel stole the show as they strutted their way down the Valentino catwalk. While Stiller gave his trademark blue steel face as Derek, Wilson embraced his model persona Hansel by flinging his coat off halfway down the runway. Following the appearance, Paramount Pictures confirmed that Zoolander 2 will be released on February 12, 2016.
The temperatures are going up on this Tuesday, but tomorrow, rain may be coming down. UF forecaster Tony Sadiku is tracking the changes. Tony?
Yeah, Chloe, the warm temperatures will stick around, but we may not see the sun like we saw today. I'm tracking the big changes, increasing clouds, as well as the rains. That's hour-by-hour forecast coming up. How about that weather today, right? Sunny skies, beautiful warm conditions, but folks, I'm tracking changes on the way. Welcome back. I'm UF forecaster Tony Sadiku. Rain chances will be on the rise as we head into our Wednesday and Thursday, and really for much of the week as well. All of that's because an unsettled pattern is brewing. Couldn't tell by looking at the clouds today, but look what's brewing out to the west of us. A nice swath of moisture stretching all the way from New Orleans to New York with this rain. But the rains will take their sweet time getting here. In the meantime, we'll just have to deal with the sea breeze showers as those continue to build into our forecast this week. Here's a look at your hour-by-hour forecast, though, for tonight. It's going to be a nice, mild one. If you got plans outdoors, rain chances will be slowly on the rise after midnight, beginning in Ocala, and that'll be climbing up to areas like Gainesville, Lake City as well. Mid-60s in the overnight hours, only coming down to about 63 for an overall low. So, yes, we are above average for an overall low as well, not to mention we're back in the 80s. Once again, on your Wednesday, your hump day, it's going to be a nice one outdoors. We will add a couple clouds in there as well as the rain chances, like I mentioned. So that's all part of the forecast as we head into our Wednesday. But I did mention we could see maybe a spotty shower build into our overnight hours. All of that will begin in areas like Ocala, beginning after about 3 or so o'clock in the morning. Much of that, maybe a rumble of thunder as you head out the door or while you wake up. But I think much of the activity will have cleared by the morning commute. Maybe a spotty shower in areas like Bradford, Clay County, but not much. But as we head into the lunch hour, we do see another line developing along the East Coast, St. Augustine. Maybe areas like Palatka could see a stray shower along the lunch hour. But look at that, some spotty showers beginning to increase now into our afternoon. And we could see that sea breeze set up once again begin as we head into the later part of the day. We'll continue to track that as well, thinking mainly along the I-75 corridor as we head into the late evening on your Wednesday. Could see some showers along Ocala through parts of Gainesville, just west of or just east of the I-75 corridor, and that's of course something we're going to be tracking. And it's all part of that summer-like feel, the summer-like setup. The warm temperatures, the humidity is all back in there, and now we'll just add the rains, and it'll kind of complete the package there. So that's our setup. Above normal temperatures in store with highs in the mid-80s, lows in the mid-60s. So above average for this time of the year. Keep in mind our average is 74 for an afternoon high, and our average low is 49. So yes, we're definitely a couple degrees above that for the next couple of days. Increasing moisture will mean a couple showers possible, thunderstorms embedded in them as well. And then an unsettled late week pattern. We could see those thunderstorms linger through late this week. And that'll continue to be our setup. If you're not a fan of the humidity, whatever you got to do, keep in mind that's going to be sticking around through much of the week as well. Even some days where we could see some tropical pattern. All of that will be lingering through late this weekend before the front will finally move through and clear out that pattern. So that's all what we got to expect. But keep in mind, once areas of fog clear out, we will see those clouds building into the forecast, and they'll hang around for much of the week. Probably won't see sunshine like we saw today until about Saturday, with rain chances every afternoon. Keep in mind the afternoons will be in the 80s, mornings in the 60s. Back to you.
Thanks, Tony. It's getting warmer this week in Gainesville, but Florida lacrosse has been heating it up for a month.
The Gators play at home again tonight. With more, we bring in Joel Sebastianelli.
Yeah, you know, Florida started the year with a loss to number 2 UNC in the season opener, but since then they have been unbeatable. They take on Syracuse tonight in a top 10 showdown. We'll preview that and more when we come back on Sports. Welcome back, I'm Joel Sebastianelli, and here's what's happening in sports. Florida lacrosse has been lights out over the last month. They're on a 6-game winning streak, outscoring opponents 105-37 in that span, and the 3 leading scorers, Shannon Gilroy, Nicole Graziano, and Molly Stevens, have combined for 40% of the team's total points. But wins won't come easy anymore. UF visits unanimous #1 Maryland on Saturday and battles number 18 Stony Brook next Tuesday. First things first, though, Florida and Syracuse square off at the Diz tonight in a top 10 matchup. Turn out the lights, the party's just beginning. Last time in the dark was a 17-7 win over San Diego State. Gators usually shine at night, too, 24-1 all time. Throughout that run, Shannon Gilroy has been the centerpiece of the team. She has the most goals in Florida history with 206. That's the best among active players in the country. Number 3 on the nation's list of prolific scorers is Syracuse's Kayla Trainer. Containing Trainer could be the key tonight.
I think the main thing is knowing what to do when she does get the ball, knowing to send the slide early, and to be ready for whatever that they throw at us.
Florida and Syracuse face off in just a few minutes at 6:30. Gator baseball is at home tonight as well against Fairfield, and just like the lacrosse team, they're in the top 5 thanks to a blistering first month. Florida is 14-2 to start the year. Richie Martin helped UF sweep Maine Sunday with a single, a double, and a triple. Gators begin SEC play against Tennessee this Friday. And before you complain it's too hot outside, just know Fairfield's first 7 games were called off for snow. First pitch tonight is at 7. For sports fans, the off-season doubles as being an exciting and an excruciating time. There's never a shortage of talking points, armchair quarterbacking, and prognosticating, but the wait, it's slow and painful, and nothing is for certain. The Florida football spring game is still 1 month away and the season even longer. Spring camp starts next Monday, though. The only thing we know right now, Coach Jim McElwain told us he doesn't have any radical position shifts up his sleeve, aside from giving Brandon Powell more reps at receiver. Still, the lack of big news recently doesn't mean there isn't a lot for fans and Coach McElwain to be excited about.
Been really happy with the enthusiasm in which our guys have kind of attacked what we're asking them to do. And we got some hungry Gators out there, some guys that, you know, have really bought in to a lot of things we're trying to accomplish, and yet we've got a long ways to go.
The Orange and Blue debut is Saturday, April 11th. And speaking of off-season football fun, NFL free agency opened up today at 4 o'clock. As expected, we've already had a taste of the unexpected. Just 2 hours in, some big moves already across the league. 3 trades are the highlights so far. Former Saints tight end Jimmy Graham, he was traded to Seattle for center Max Unger and draft picks. It sounds as though Ndamukong Suh is departing Detroit for Miami, so the Lions acted fast. They wasted no time acquiring nose tackle Haloti Ngata from Baltimore. The Eagles and Rams swapped quarterbacks too. 2008 Heisman Trophy winner from Oklahoma, Sam Bradford, he says so long to St. Louis and goes to Philly in exchange for quarterback Nick Foles. In other news, former Gator wideout Percy Harvin was released this afternoon by the Jets. One last look at the weather forecast is coming up after the break. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Well, there's still a lot of life left in these numbers. So if you got plans to head outside, the outdoor conditions are in your favor. Looking at 83 degrees now, 84 in Ocala, 80 Daytona Beach, 77 out in St. Augustine. So nice setup this evening with rain chances building in late. So you don't have to worry about that until maybe after midnight. Rumble of thunder possible with that, but we're still close to 70 at midnight, so not bad there, of course. And the areas that don't get the showers, though, we could see some areas of light, patchy, to even some locally dense fog in the morning hours. So yes, that could mean a hassle on your commute. So you might want to maybe leave a little early to avoid some of the headaches there. But definitely some areas of visibility less than miles, you can tell, but that'll be burning off maybe the 8 or the 9 o'clock hour as we head into our morning. So once we get through the fog, the clouds will be gathering with some showers possible, maybe some embedded thunderstorms late in the afternoon. Or of course, you can track those with us at ufweather.org. Back to you.
Thanks, Tony. And thank you at home for watching WFT News at 6, a production from UF's Innovation News Center.
We'll see you again tomorrow, and don't forget WUFT News is always on at WUFT.org. The Nightly Business Report is coming up next. Good night.